You awakened the most useless ability in history, a 1 cubic meter void storage. The whole school laughs at you, but they have no idea what the law of space is truly capable of. What if you place half the space over someone's head, and let the other half hang in open air, then snap it shut in an instant? That becomes an absolute cut, one that ignores every defense. And what if you split that 1 cubic meter into 10 separate 10 cubic centimeter spaces? Next, Ash. The cold mechanical voice echoes through the awakening hall of Jiangcheng First Academy. Thousands of eyes land on you at once. You wear a faded school uniform washed so many times the color is nearly gone. You walk up from the corner step by step and press your hand onto the awakening stone. This is a world overrun by beasts, ruled by rigid hierarchy. The ability you awaken almost entirely decides how far you can climb. It decides whether you and your family can ever escape the fate of living like livestock at the bottom. So in this moment, everyone is watching. But when the awakening stone lights up, the glow is pathetically faint. A pale gray haze barely coats the surface, like a dying candle flickering in the wind. The crowd falls silent, then erupts in laughter. That's an awakening? Gray light? What kind of trash tier ability is that? I've never even heard of it. Bet it doesn't even hit rank 1. Instructor Wang stares at the words frozen on the display and shakes his head in disappointment. He announces flatly, Ash, awakened ability, rank 1 void storage. Additional note, storage volume, 1 cubic meter. The hall explodes. 1 cubic meter? That's just a pocket-sized box. Even the supply crew would laugh at how little that holds. A slum rat through and through, even his ability reeks of poverty. The jeers slam into you from every direction. But you quietly pull your hand back and stare at those cold words on the screen. No anger on your face, no resentment, just silence. You know it well. When you have no power, emotions are worthless. And then, at exactly this moment, a blinding golden light explodes from backstage and pulls every eye in the room. Young Master Zane, definitely S rank. The Crimson Lotus Flame. The Zhao bloodline never disappoints. The crowd erupts in awe. Zane, the direct heir of the Zhao family, walks onto the stage wreathed in pale golden flames. He is dressed in luxury, his expression carrying an arrogance he doesn't even bother to hide. Unlike you, he was born standing at the finish line most people will never reach. And now he has awakened one of the most powerful offensive abilities in existence. From this day forward, resources, status, and opportunity will all flow toward him automatically. But he doesn't stop to enjoy the cheers. He walks straight toward you, looks down, and a cruel smirk curls at his mouth. Ash, so it's you, the little rat hiding in the drain. He raises a finger, flame still burning around it, and points at your chest from a distance. Each word slow and deliberate. Rank 1 void storage, 1 cubic meter. How fitting, when that poor little sister of yours is gone, you can use it to store her leftovers. The moment he mentions Ava, the stillness in your eyes finally shifts. A thread of cold killing intent flickers through. Zane catches it immediately. His grin stretches wider. What, you got a problem with that? Someone like you, even breathing the same air in Jiangcheng is a waste. He turns to Instructor Wang. Not a request, a command. There's still a scholarship slot to War Academy for low-income students, right? I believe it was meant for him. Instructor Wang's face goes pale. Yes, based on grades and overall evaluation, the slot was originally assigned to Ash. Zane's tone stays flat, but carries the weight of someone who decides who lives and who doesn't. I don't want to see this nobody taking up space in the same school as me. Instructor Wang tries to push back. That's against the rules. Zane lets out a cold laugh. Rules? The flames surge. In Jiangcheng, what the Zhao family says is the rules. The hall goes dead silent. No one speaks up for you. Everyone just watches. Some with pity, some with satisfaction, some waiting eagerly to see you break. But you don't break. You simply lift your eyes and look at Zane. The look is terrifyingly calm, like you're looking at someone who has no future left. That look is exactly what Zane hates most. The grin fades from his face slowly. His voice turns dark. Good. I don't like that look. Get out. Instructor Wang sighs and slides a form toward you. Just sign it. It's a withdrawal form. With an ability like that, staying here serves no purpose. Accept it. Go find work at a factory on the east side. You take the form, glance at it, pick up the pen, and sign your name without a moment of hesitation. You hand it back and turn to leave. Not a single word of protest. Because in your rules for survival, you never waste breath arguing with the already dead. You barely make it through the school gates when the sky turns completely dark. Lightning tears through the clouds and rain slams down without warning, soaking you through in seconds. But you don't seem to feel the cold. You just keep walking, numb. Then the cracked secondhand phone in your pocket buzzes. You answer. The voice on the other end is cold and clinical. This is Jiangcheng City First Hospital. Your sister Ava's Abyss Frost Syndrome has taken a sudden turn for the worse. She has been moved to the ICU. Within 24 hours, you must pay $100,000 for the treatment medication. If payment is not received, we are required by policy to discontinue treatment and remove her from the ICU. $100,000. The number hits you like a sledgehammer. To the wealthy, it's just a number. To you, it's completely out of reach. You speak fast. Please, just a few more days. I will find a way. I promise you don't finish. The line goes dead. Nothing left but the flat dial tone. You stand in the downpour. Your fingers curl slowly into a fist. The rain-soaked withdrawal form crumples in your grip. The last trace of restraint drains from your face. What remains is pure resolve and madness. Your education is gone. Your future is gone. Every legal path is closed. This world and its rules were never going to leave a way out for you and Ava. Then you'll just have to take it. You spin around and head toward the slums at the edge of the city, the place light and order forgot. The deeper you go, the darker it gets. Finally, you turn into the deepest, filthiest alley. Not a single streetlight. and in this moment your eyes change completely. Then you'll stake your life on it. But the words barely leave your mouth when a thick, nauseating stench of blood and beast rushes from the darkness ahead. Then two crimson lanterns flicker to life in the dark. Not lanterns. Eyes. A tier -2 beast that has no business being inside the city walls, a shadow wolf. This creature is known for its speed and its claws. The nightmare of rookie fighters. For an ordinary person, forget winning. Surviving 3 seconds against it face to face would be a miracle. But the thought of running barely surfaces before you kill it yourself. Turning your back on a wolf only gets you killed faster. So instead, you step forward half a pace, drop your center of gravity, and snatch a rusted steel rod from the ground in one lightning motion, holding it across your chest. This is the instinct you bought with pain in the underground fighting rings of the slums. Against a stronger enemy, the more afraid you are of losing, the faster you lose. Only by looking more vicious, more reckless can you carve out any chance at all. You and the wolf face each other in the muddy dark alley. Then the shadow wolf moves. It lunges like a black blur straight for your throat. You can barely track it. You rely purely on instinct forged through countless life or death fights. And at the last possible moment, you twist hard to the right. You save your throat. But the claws tear across your left shoulder and arm, ripping a chunk of flesh clean off. Blood sprays out immediately. The pain blacks out your vision for a second. But you don't retreat. If anything, the pain ignites something savage deep in your bones. You let out a roar and use the momentum from your twist to drive the steel rod straight at its eye. The strike is fast, vicious, but you underestimate what a tier -2 beast truly is. The shadow wolf wrenches its head aside midair. The rod misses the eye, glances off the skull, and buries less than half an inch before it jams. The shadow wolf howls in pain and fury and whips its head sideways. The rod tears from your grip and you're flung face first into the ground. What follows is a true savage brawl. You and the wolf roll together through sewage and mud. It tears into you again and again with its claws. You fight back like a beast that has completely lost its mind. Fists, elbows, knees, even teeth, targeting every spot that could be fatal. 3 deep gashes open across your back, deep enough to see bone. The shoulder wound keeps bleeding. Strength and awareness drain fast. Your movements slow. Your breathing falls apart. Then the shadow wolf seizes its opening and slams you into the wall. Your skull cracks against the surface and your vision explodes with stars. The next second, its full weight crashes down on you. Its claws pin your shoulders and nail you to the corner. You can't move. It lowers its head. The shadow wolf's jaws are less than 2 inches from your throat. You can see every mark on its fangs. Despair spreads through you like ice. And then, Ava's face flashes in your mind. Pale, but always smiling. Ash, you're going to be the greatest ability user ever. Ash, when I get better, I want those candied fruits from the shop on the south side. You can't lose. If you lose, what happens to Ava? What happens to the 100,000? What happens when the hospital pulls the plug? Just as the shadow wolf opens its jaws to crush your skull, your battered, nearly dead mind drops into a stillness you've never felt before. Pain, fear, desperation, all of it stripped away. Your world narrows to 2 things, the wolf's head closing in, and the ability everyone laughed at, void storage. What is a space? It's a box, invisible, intangible but real, and if it's a box, it has edges. Edges that appear when it opens, and vanish when it closes. A thought, insane beyond all reason, splits through your mind. What if something is caught right inside that edge? Your gaze locks onto the point where the shadow wolf's head meets its neck. The next second, every ounce of focus, every shred of will, every last drop of life force, you pour it all into one single razor-clear thought. Lower half of the space, over the wolf's head. Upper half, in the open air above its neck. Spatial edge, locked precisely at the seam between head and neck. Void storage snaps shut. The weight crushing you suddenly lifts. Then a scalding, thick rush of liquid bursts over your face like a dam breaking. You slump against the wall, gasping like a broken bellows. You look down. Your pupils shrink. The shadow wolf's body still lies across your legs, but its head is gone. The cut at its neck is perfectly smooth, like the work of the sharpest laser imaginable. Fur, vessels, bone, nerves, all sliced clean. Not a single jagged edge. You close your eyes. You sink your awareness into your ability space. The next moment your whole body shudders. The severed wolf head floats in the center of your 1 cubic meter space, perfectly still. Its eyes still hold the fury and shock of its final moment. The cut is just as smooth as the other side. You finally understand. The true terror of your ability was never the storage. It was always the spatial edge itself. Whatever gets caught in that edge, flesh, bone, or steel, will be severed directly by the law of space. This isn't a normal attack. It doesn't care about physics, it doesn't care about defense, it doesn't care about the gap in strength. It is absolute spatial severance at the level of pure law. A tier -2 beast skull is hard enough to shrug off most weapons, and it's still split in 2. From now on, Crimson Lotus Flame, hardening abilities, iron body techniques, none of it means anything if it can't stop the law of space. The ability the world called useless finally bears its true fangs. You stare at the wolf head inside your space. The corner of your mouth slowly pulls back, and finally, you can't hold it back. The wild, desperate joy of tearing a path out of the abyss. A low, unhinged laugh escapes you. Heh, ha ha ha. It echoes through the alley. Part madness, part survival, and part the cold clarity of someone who has finally seen through the hand fate dealt them. But you force yourself calm fast, because right now, what matters isn't joy, it's money. You push through the tearing pain across your body and use your cheap folding knife, working from the rough knowledge you picked up helping dealers process beast materials in the black market, to cut open the shadow wolf's chest. Soon you dig out a fist-sized crystal near its heart, pulsing with a deep blue glow. a tier -2 beast crystal core, a shadow type crystal core, and a remarkably clean one. On official channels, trading this requires a license, but on the underground black market, it's the hardest currency there is. Conservative estimate, this crystal core is worth at least 300,000. That means Ava's treatment costs are not just covered, there will be a significant amount left over. You store the crystal core in your void storage and quickly clean up the scene. You drag the wolf's remains to an inconspicuous spot near the alley entrance. Scatter some scraps of flesh around it, make it look like another beast fed on it, or like gang cleanup after a fight. Then you peel off the filth-covered school uniform and throw it into the sewage bin. That uniform represented the old you, obedient, rule-following, at everyone's mercy. That identity ends now. You dig through the trash and pull out an oversized black hooded coat. With your last few coins, you buy the cheapest white plastic mask from a street stall. On it is a strange, frozen smile. Hood up, mask on. A completely new figure stares back from the reflection. From this day forward, the student named Ash no longer exists. What remains is a hunter who moves through darkness and shadow. You give yourself a new name, Zero. It means nothing, and it means the start of everything. Half an hour later, you arrive at Jiangsheng's largest underground trading hub, the Black Gold Market. Its entrance is buried deep inside an abandoned underground parking lot. Two heavies stand at the door, their waistlines bulging. Weapons. Obviously. They take one look at you, smiley face mask, beat up coat, and immediately size you up as easy prey. Stop. The scarred one looks you up and down, voice unfriendly. Where'd you crawl out from? Wearing a busted mask like some kind of ghost. You know how things work here? The bald one is more direct. He throws out an arm to block you. Want in? Pay the 100 entry fee first. You stop, you say nothing. Your eyes sweep calmly across both of them and settle on the weapon at the scarred man's hip, less than a meter away. Just right. The scarred man sees you staying silent and reaches for his weapon. But before he can draw it, your focus has already locked onto the middle of the barrel. Space. Open. Spatial edge over the barrel. Space. Close. Click. Half the barrel drops to the ground. The cut, smooth as a mirror. Both heavies freeze. The scarred man looks at the half weapon in his hand, then at the half barrel on the ground. A chill shoots straight up his spine. They didn't even see what you did. All they saw was a military-grade alloy barrel bitten clean off by something invisible. The unknown is far more terrifying than raw power. The bald one pulls his arm back immediately and forces out a smile. Please, go right in. You don't even glance at them. You walk straight into this lawless world built on nothing but profit. The inside of the Black Gold Market is far larger and far more chaotic than the outside suggests. The air is thick with motor oil, cheap alcohol, and something rotten. Neon lights cut every face in half, one side bright, one side shadow. Mercenaries, black market doctors selling banned drugs, brokers trading intel and bounty lists in dark corners. You waste no time. You head straight for the most impressive three-story building at the center of the market, the Black Gold Guild. Behind the counter, a heavy-set broker is hunched over, polishing a gemstone. Without looking up, he asks, "Selling what?" You don't answer. You just extend your hand above the counter. With a single thought, the fist-sized crystal core, glowing with deep blue light, drops heavily onto the surface. The broker freezes. He slowly looks up. The greed in his eyes is almost impossible to hide, but he's a veteran of the black market. The shock on his face lasts half a second before it turns to contempt. He picks up the crystal core, pretends to examine it, tosses it back. Average quality. Unstable energy. Barely tier 2. 100,000. That's not lowballing. That's outright robbery. But you show no anger, no haggling. Just a quiet, cold laugh. You reach out, pull the crystal core back into your void storage, and turn to leave. The broker panics immediately. Someone who doesn't know the market would beg and argue. Someone who walks away knows more than he does. Wait, price is negotiable. You keep walking. 200,000. Still walking. 250,000. That's my ceiling. Only then do you stop. You turn halfway. The smiley face mask looks especially unsettling under the lights. 300,000. The broker's face twitches. He grits his teeth and agrees. Soon a solid black metal card with no markings is slid across the counter. You pick it up and walk. The moment you step out of the guild doors, the smile vanishes from the broker's face. He makes a gesture toward a heavy-set man drinking in the corner. The man grins and slips out after you with 4 tattooed enforcers, silent as shadows. You spotted all 5 tails from the start. More importantly, on the way you test a new application of your ability. You pick up a piece of broken stone and store it in your void storage mid-stride, then release it forward on the very next step. The stone launches out like a bullet, carrying all the momentum from your movement. In that instant you realize, void storage doesn't just cut, it can store and release kinetic energy. A more efficient counterkill plan takes shape immediately. You deliberately lead the 5 of them through the maze of back alleys in the Black Gold Market. Finally, you walk into an abandoned 3-level underground parking structure. Dark, isolated, no people, no cameras. Perfect for what needs to be done. Sure enough, the moment you stop, all 5 close in from different directions. Every exit is cut off. The one in front swings an alloy blade, his face full of amusement. Nice little run, he says. Leave the card. Hand over everything you've got. We're in a good mood today. Maybe we'll go easy on you. You turn slowly. The white smiley face mask looks genuinely disturbing under the dim yellow lights. No anger. You ask in a voice so calm it carries no warmth at all. Are your heads worth anything? The man stares for a second, then his face twists with rage. He grips the blade with both hands and brings it down hard at your skull. The blade screams through the air. Against any normal person, this strike would split them from head to chest. But you don't step back, you step forward. into the blade. The moment it descends, the spatial edge sweeps across it first. The sharpest half of the blade simply vanishes. The man's arms lurch forward with nothing to stop them. He stumbles. And you've already slipped inside his reach. Space, open, spatial edge over the neck, space close. A dull, wet sound. The fury on his face freezes solid. The next second, a red torrent erupts from the clean-cut neck. The headless body crashes to the ground still mid-lunge. The air dies. All 4 remaining enforcers freeze. The grins on their faces lock in place. Pure terror is all that's left. They didn't understand what you did. They just watched a man's head disappear. Finally, someone breaks. A shriek tears out of them. Ghost! It's a ghost! All 4 spin and run. But you can't let any of them leave alive. You push off the ground and glide after the nearest one like a shadow skimming the floor. And when it's done, you stand in the center. The black coat. Not a single drop on it. You crouch down and calmly search the bodies. A few minutes later, you stand. Not bad. Several stacks of cash, roughly 30,000, and a well-crafted military alloy blade. You store both in your void storage and feel the anonymous black card pressed against your chest. 300,000, plus another 30. It's enough. Finally enough. Through the unsettling smiley face mask, your gaze cuts through the dark. You see Ava's pale face in that ICU, the eyes that have stayed cold and still finally carry a trace of warmth. Ava, I have the money to save you. You say it quietly and tuck the black card carefully back into the pocket closest to your heart. Then you don't linger. You turn and go. Less than 5 minutes after you leave, rushing footsteps pound through the structure. The broker from the Black Gold Guild arrives with over a dozen guards, armed with energy rifles radiating brutal force. They storm into the abandoned lot. Where is he? 5-on-1 and you let him walk? When I get my hands on him, I'll flatten him myself. But the moment he sees what's in front of him, every curse dies in his throat. The flesh on his face trembles. Those small, squinting eyes are now wide open, shot through with red. 5 bodies. 5 bodies with no heads. His best enforcer, the one with the C-rank skin-hardening ability, lies face down in a pool of red like a burst sack. The cut at his neck is smooth as a mirror. A bone-deep chill shoots from the base of the broker's spine straight to the top of his skull. His legs give out. He drops with a thud, right into the cold, thick liquid pooling on the floor. His lips quiver, his teeth chatter. These cuts, he points at the smooth-edged neck. His voice cracks with fear. No burning, no tearing. This is spatial severance. To use the law of space at this level of precision, this is at least peak B rank, a top-tier space-class figure, world level. The broker's mind goes blank. What kind of existence did he just cross? Since when did a god of slaughter arrive in Yangcheng? The night is deep. The rain has stopped. You store the black coat that marks you as 0, the smiley face mask, and the stained military blade into your void storage. Then you change back into the washed-out school uniform you rescued from the trash, sling on the faded backpack, and become once again the unremarkable, slightly thin student no one would look twice at. But clothes can be changed. Eyes cannot. The boy who used to carry quiet shame and suppress pain disappeared in last night's rain-soaked alley. The eyes you have now hold a cold razor edge that won't dissolve. You head straight for Jiangcheng City First Hospital. At the late-night payment window, the on-duty nurse is half asleep. Then you slam the anonymous black card against the glass and she jolts awake. The irritated look on her face doesn't even fully form. You look at her and say one thing. ICU, Ava, best available treatment. Right now. There's 330,000 on the card. If it's not enough, I'll find more. Your voice is rough, but there is no room for negotiation. The nurse stares, then looks down at the anonymous black card carrying that enormous sum, then looks back up at your cheap school uniform. Her eyes fill with disbelief. A kid dressed like he can barely afford lunch is casually handing over 300,000. The contrast leaves her speechless. But the balance on the card doesn't lie. So she changes her attitude immediately, gets up, contacts the doctor, and arranges the highest level of care. Half an hour later, the latest gene repair treatment slowly enters Ava's system. Only when you see the color slowly returning to Ava's paper-white face does the tension in you ease, just a little. The room is quiet. You sit beside her and smooth back her sweat-damp hair. And only in this moment does the brutality and killing intent in your eyes slowly drain away. What's left is something almost clumsy in its gentleness. Ava is the only warmth you have in this cold world, and the one thing you'll never let anyone touch. And she lies here frail and sick. Her lashes flutter. She slowly opens her eyes. She takes your hand and asks quietly, "Did you do something dangerous?" She caught the faint but unmistakable smell of iron on you, and she feels the chill coming off you. Nothing like before. Your chest tightens, but you force a gentle smile, ruffle her hair the way you always do, and lie softly. Nothing like that. I just sold the academy slot to some rich kid. Got enough money from it. First priority, getting you treated. The moment Ava hears it, the light in her eyes dims. She knows exactly what that slot meant to you. She knows how many years you bled for it. Her eyes go red. She whispers, "I've only ever held you back." But you just flick her nose lightly and smile the way you always do when you're comforting her. It's just a slot. Gone is gone. I'll still become the strongest with or without school. Stop overthinking. Just focus on getting better. When you're well, I'll take you to get those candied fruits from the south side. Once Ava falls back asleep, you tuck the blanket around her and watch her in silence for a long time. Only when you walk out of the room does the last of that warmth completely leave your face. What replaces it is a killing intent colder than the night outside. Zane took your slot, insulted Ava, and all the others who ground you into the dirt. The debt is just about due. The next morning, sunlight falls through the gates of Jiangcheng First Academy. But when it reaches you, it seems to stop, turned back by something cold and invisible. You walk in exactly as you have every day for 3 years. worn backpack on your back. But this time you don't go to class. You walk straight to the academic office and pick up a registration form for the national ability exam. Since Zane ripped away the scholarship slot, you'll take a harder path, more dangerous, but more direct. The national ability exam is brutal. The people who enter are either ruthless fighters with no connections and no resources, staking their lives on the outcome, or people who've been pushed to the edge with nowhere left to go. You are clearly the latter, but you've barely stepped out of the office with the form when a voice cuts through the hallway. Well, isn't that the great Ash, Jiangcheng First Academy's former genius? You look up. Zane is walking toward you with a crew of followers. His arm is around a heavily made-up girl, satisfaction written all over him. He looks exactly like someone who climbed up on someone else's bones and came back just to laugh at them. He stops in front of you and looks you over slowly, deliberately. Then, you didn't show up yesterday. Were you home crying? You don't bother, you turn to walk around him, but Zane grabs your shoulder and his eyes drop to the form in your hand. He snatches it, reads it, freezes for a moment, then bursts out laughing like it's the funniest thing he's ever heard. National Ability Exam registration form? Everyone come look at this. A guy with rank 1 void storage actually thinks he can enter the National Ability Exam. What, tired of living? Planning to go feed yourself to the beasts out there? His voice carries. A crowd forms fast. Some whisper that you must have snapped. Others shake their heads. Entering the National Ability Exam with your ability is no different from choosing to die. And some are simply here for the show, waiting to see if you'll bow your head and accept it again, the way you always have. In their eyes, your past silence and restraint was always just weakness, so they all assume this time will be exactly the same. But that's precisely the moment. Zane drops the form onto the floor and raises his foot. He grinds it under his limited edition tactical boots worth tens of thousands. He twists his heel back and forth, looking down at you, his voice poison. Dead weight belongs where dead weight belongs. This paper is your fantasy. Crushing it is as easy as crushing an ant. In the past, you might have lowered your head, quietly picked it up, and swallowed every bit of the humiliation. But you are not who you used to be. You slowly raise your head. No rage, no tears, just a terrifying stillness. The next second, no warning at all, a heavy, thunderous impact explodes through the hallway. Your body drops slightly, and your right leg becomes a blur. A powerful front kick drives straight into Zane's gut. Too fast, too hard. The sneer doesn't even have time to leave his face. His whole body reacts like it's been hit head-on by a charging beast. He folds in half. A mouthful of bile sprays out. His feet leave the ground and he flies back over 3 meters. He crashes into the hallway display board. The entire tempered glass panel shatters. Shards spray everywhere. The whole hallway goes silent. No one expected you to move, and certainly no one expected a single kick to do that to Zane. He slides down from the shattered glass like a rag doll. He curls on the floor, face drained of all color. The pain is so intense he can't even form a proper scream. And you just slowly pull your foot back, standing exactly where you were, as if you didn't just send a person flying, as if you only brushed away some dust. But it's far from over. From the crowd behind Zane, a quiet, crew-cut, middle-aged man steps forward. His temples bulge. His presence explodes outward. The floor tiles crack under his feet from the force alone. D-rank strength-type ability user. Zane's personal bodyguard. A genuine veteran of the military. You've got nerve, he says. With a roar, he launches himself forward like a cannonball. His massive fist screams through the air, aimed straight at your face. The students around you panic all at once, screaming, crying, chaos. Everyone knows a strength-type ability user at this rank can shatter bone with a single hit. But you don't retreat. You step forward, right into the punch, just as it's about to graze your nose, not a hard charge. You slip into his space like water, smooth and strange, locking yourself inside 1 meter. The bodyguard blinks, then smirks. Because in his experience, close range is exactly where a strength-type ability user dominates. He shifts from fist to palm and slams both arms inward, trying to crush you, bones and organs and all. But he has no idea what 1 meter means to you. It's not close range, it's execution range. An invisible spatial ripple passes. You make no extra movement, just a single quiet thought. Space, open, spatial edge, over both arm joints. Space, close. A sickening crack, and every student and teacher in that hallway witnesses something they will never forget. The bodyguard's arms, 1 inch from touching you, sever cleanly at the elbows. Both severed forearms, still held in the crushing position, simply detach from his body. They drop to the floor with 2 dull thuds. The cuts, smooth as mirrors. Then, as if delayed by half a second, blood erupts from both clean-edged stumps. It paints the white hallway wall in broad, heavy strokes. The bodyguard looks at his empty arms, then at the twitching stumps on the floor. Every trace of aggression vanishes from his face. Then the pain hits his brain and he lets out a sound that doesn't seem human, and crashes to his knees. He writhes on the floor like an animal being slaughtered. The hallway is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone is in shock, because no one saw what you did, not even a trace of ability energy to detect. A D-rank strength-type ability user just lost both arms, and you calmly step over the screaming bodyguard and walk toward Zane. By now Zane is completely terrified. His face is white as paper. He scrambles backward on hands and feet. A wet stain spreads across his pants. He's lost control of his bladder from sheer fear. You walk up to him. Hundreds of eyes watch, terrified, awed, stunned. You slowly raise your foot and press your faded, cheap sneaker down hard onto Zane's swollen, twisted face. You grind his head into the cold floor covered in broken glass. Humiliation. The kind he has never once experienced. You look down at the fear-warped face beneath your shoe. When you speak, your voice is quiet, but it cuts through the hallway like a wind from the coldest place on earth, reaching every single person present. I don't want your scholarship slot. At the exam, I will personally destroy everything you're proud of, in front of everyone. You lift your foot slowly. You don't even glance at him again. You turn, bend down, pick up the registration form, covered in boot prints. You dust it off gently and sling your old backpack over your shoulder. You walk away as the crowd parts on its own. Sunlight streams through the hallway windows and stretches your shadow long behind you. Alone, silent, but carrying a weight that makes it almost impossible to look at you directly. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, the principal stares at the security footage replay. His hands are shaking. The image freezes on the moment you severed the bodyguard's arms. No visible power surge, no dramatic energy wave. The spatial ripple is so faint it's almost undetectable. And that is precisely what makes it terrifying. Because it means your ability doesn't fight through force. It operates directly at the level of law. The more the principal watches, the more shaken he becomes. The teacup slips from his hand and shatters on the floor. This is not rank 1 void storage. This is the law of space made physical. In this moment, he finally understands. Jiang Cheng has produced something genuinely monstrous. He hits the emergency button immediately and orders your 3-minute footage classified at S rank, the highest level. All original data sealed. No one is permitted access. And beyond that, he pulls up your complete records from the past 3 years, clearly intending to completely re-examine the student everyone wrote off as a nobody. But just as the school begins to see your worth, the Zhao family has already made their move, for real this time. In the Zhao family villa, under glittering crystal chandeliers, the air hangs heavy as a freezer. Zane lies on the sofa with his swollen face, screaming for revenge. Zhu stands at the floor-to-ceiling window, listening without a word. Then he dials an encrypted channel. The person on the other end goes by Hyena, a squad of outlaws who handle dirty work in the wild zones. Zeus opens with 10 million to buy your life. But when Hyena hears you took off a D-rank bodyguard's arms at first contact, he raises the price immediately. He demands another 5 million for equipment upgrades, and states clearly, they only stage accidents. The beast will clean up what's left. The military won't find anything suspicious. Zeus agrees without hesitation. In his mind, no matter what kind of freak you are, once you're inside the wild zone, you're just a body waiting to be torn apart. 3 days later, half a month left until the national ability exam, the Jiangcheng Military and Education Bureau organize a final large-scale combat trial. Location, Wild Zone 7 just outside the city. This trial drives every senior student into a frenzy, not only because it directly affects their exam evaluation, but because the military has put up an extraordinary reward, especially for first place, a tier -3 energy core of incalculable value, something every ability user alive would kill to have. Military transport vehicles fill the yard. Students cluster in groups of 3 and 5, excited, tense, buzzing with anticipation, and you stand alone in the corner with your worn tactical pack fitting in with no one. After what happened in the hallway, no one dares come within 3 meters of you. You are like a block of ice, like a black hole. People instinctively respect you and instinctively stay away. Then a striking figure pushes through the crowd and stops in front of you. Nova, the top student at Jiangcheng First Academy, widely recognized as the #1 talent, awakened S-rank ice ability. She is always at the center of crowds and praise. She wears a white form-fitting combat suit, ice blue hair vivid in the sunlight, the image of a blade that is both beautiful and deadly. She looks at you. Her tone is part warning, part the casual condescension of someone who has always looked down at others. The Wild Zone isn't school. An E-ranker like you should stick with the main group. Don't throw your life away trying to prove something. From her perspective, this may count as kindness, but to you, kindness built on the assumption that she's above you and you should listen, is just noise. So you glance up at her. 2 words. Cold and flat. Save it. Nova freezes. She clearly didn't expect those 2 words after lowering herself to give a warning. Anger surges. She turns away with a cold face and throws back, ungrateful. I'll be watching when you crash and burn in there. You just look back down. Like nothing happened. To you, irrelevant people and irrelevant words are just noise. Soon the transports pass through the massive alloy gates and roll into Wild Zone 7. This place is a different world entirely. Mutated trees reaching into the clouds, thick vines twisted over everything, damp, rotten air, and unseen watchers lurking in every shadow. Every single detail tells you the same thing. This is not a training ground. People die here. The instructor gives the order. Thousands of students pour into the jungle. Most of them are smart. They form groups immediately, 10, 20, 30 together, carefully hunting tier -1 beasts in the outer zones. After all, for a typical senior student, a tier -1 beast like a small wolf or ironhide boar is already dangerous enough. But you don't join anyone. The moment you enter the jungle, you separate from the crowd and walk alone into the deep forest, heading straight for the red-marked tier 2 beast activity zones on the map. Others group up because they fear danger. You want efficiency. The deep forest is dark. A normal person takes every step braced for something to lunge from behind the trees, but your focus has already spread like an invisible radar. Within 100 meters, nothing moves without you knowing. And so the hunt begins. 30 meters ahead and to the left, a tier -2 lone serpent coils in the branches, flicking its tongue, waiting for prey to walk beneath it. You don't even slow down. As you pass beneath it, the space opens and closes, and its head is simply gone. A tier -2 claw cat tears at a carcass nearby, blindingly fast, lethal striker. But the moment it bursts from the undergrowth, before it even lands, its skull vanishes mid-air. The headless body tumbles forward on momentum alone. Then a tier -2 stone pangolin famous for its defense, its shell hard enough to deflect ordinary blades and axes, but it barely surfaces from the ground before the space cuts through armor and flesh alike, splitting it into two clean halves. Each time you finish a beast, you extract the crystal core and drop it into your void storage. Practiced. Efficient. No wasted motion. The military score bracelet ticks upward fast. 100, 220, 370, 550, 880. Past the top 100 and still climbing. Then, just as you pull the crystal core from a freshly killed venomous snake, a chill detonates along your spine. Pure threat recognition, no thinking. Your body moves before your mind does. You throw yourself forward and roll into the nearby brush. At almost the exact same moment, a large caliber sniper round screams past the spot where you just stood. It slams into the massive tree behind you. The trunk explodes. Splinters fly everywhere. That shot is not combat trial level. That is professional assassination. You drop to one knee in the shadow of the undergrowth, eyes like ice. Large caliber armor-piercing round. Precision kill from over a kilometer. Pre-planned ambush route. There is only one answer. The Zhao family. They want you dead. Then none of them are leaving either. A kilometer away on the ridge, the sniper frowns. He expected this to be easy, but your evasion was too clean. Not like any student. More like a creature that has survived in the wilds for years. Then Hyena's squad tightens the net. 5 operatives splitting into left flank, right flank, and frontal push, moving to trap you fast. But they think they're hunting you. They don't know the real hunter never stands in the center of the net waiting to die. Your focus has already mapped all 5. Positions, distances, movement paths. So instead of running, you hug the shadows of the ground and vegetation and ghost your way toward the thinnest side of their net. The first to fall is Operative 3. He moves with his tactical rifle, carefully sweeping his forward arc. He never considers the danger above him. As he passes beneath a massive ancient tree, you drop from the canopy's shadow like a bat hanging upside down. He barely tilts his head up before you're inside 1 meter. Space opens, covers helmet and skull, closes. The sound is barely audible. The operative doesn't get a single word of warning out before everything above his neck is gone. You catch the body and lean it gently against the tree. Not even the sound of a fall. Soon, Operative 4 is ordered to check. He spots the strangely positioned body immediately. He freezes completely. When he tries to report in, his voice trembles. But in that moment of distraction, you slide in from the side shadow, a flash, and take his head. In under 1 minute, Hyena's squad is down too, both killed without a sound. Even the battle-hardened Hyena is shaken now. He finally understands. This isn't a simple job. This is a demon that harvests lives in silence. He roars for everyone to converge on him and fully unleashes his ability. C-rank wind ability, Wind Blade Storm. In an instant, countless high-speed rotating cyan wind blades shred outward in every direction. Ancient trees, vines, undergrowth, all shredded like paper. Every place to hide is torn into open wasteland. And finally you're visible in his sightline. Hyena's face splits into a savage grin. He thinks he's finally cornered you. At the same moment, a kilometer out, the sniper who has been locked on this area aims his crosshairs between your eyes and fires without hesitation. Bang. A kill shot. But you don't move. The instant the armor-piercing round is 1 centimeter from your skin, right in front of your forehead, a void storage space, barely visible, quietly opens. And so the bullet, capable of punching through tank armor, along with every ounce of its destructive force, is swallowed whole by the space in an instant. No explosion. No deflection. Not even a ripple worth mentioning. The storm fades, the dust settles. In the middle of the cleared ground you stand there, perfectly still, completely unharmed. The sight wipes Hyena's mind blank for a full second. Then you slowly turn your head. Your gaze crosses a full kilometer and lands precisely on the ridge where the sniper hides. Your lips part. 3 words, sending it back. The next second the void before you tears open. The bullet, the exact same bullet, launches back out at the exact same speed it arrived. The sniper on the ridge doesn't get the chance to react. All he sees is a black dot rapidly filling his scope. Then, bang! His precision rifle and scope explode in his hands. His own bullet drills through his right eye and takes off the top of his skull. 1 short scream on the comm channel. Then total silence. In this moment, Hyena finally understands. He didn't take a contract on some talented student. He took a contract on a monster. So his first instinct isn't to fight, it's to run. He blasts his wind ability to full power. Wind gathers beneath his feet. He turns to flee, throwing up his strongest defense in front of him. The wind wall. But wind is an element. Space is the law that holds elements. Against the true law of space, that wind wall capable of deflecting artillery is no thicker than paper. You walk straight through it, no resistance, no delay, like stepping through a curtain of water, 1 meter. Then you raise your hand, over the head, close. A soft, wet sound. His head leaves his body. His eyes still hold the final expression. Pure disbelief and terror. The headless body stands frozen for 2 seconds. Then, along with the erupting red torrent, it crashes heavily to the ground. Hyena's squad of 5, all gone. From the first shot to the last head, under 3 minutes. You don't rush to loot, you check the scene first, because you know, people who run this kind of professional dirty operation keep the most valuable thing not in their guns, not in their packs, but in their comms. Sure enough, you find a faintly glowing military communicator tucked into Hyena's tactical vest. The moment you pick it up, Zeus's voice comes through, urgent and dark. Hyena, is it done? Did you use the beast lure I had you prepare? Throw it on him and every tier -2 beast within 10 miles will converge on his location. Nothing left of him. The military will call it an accident. You go still. But what rises in your eyes is no longer just killing intent, because now you understand. The Zhao family was never just trying to remove you. Their real plan is to use the beast lure to turn the entire outer combat trial zone into a slaughterhouse. and use the deaths of hundreds of students to pave Zane's path to first place. In other words, they plan to buy Zane's victory with everyone else's lives. You crush the communicator in your hand and flip open Hyena's pack. Several dark red incense stubs, nearly burned through, only a small length left, appear in your hand. The thick, sickly sweet smell confirms everything Zeus said. High concentration beast lure, and more than one. The thick, sickly sweet smell confirms everything Zeus said. High concentration beast lure, and more than one. The Zhao family has lost their minds, and in that exact moment the ground begins to shake. Not a tremble, a full heave, like the earth itself is rolling over. The soil and leaves beneath your feet jump. Then from every direction, deafening beast roars. Massive trees crash down in rows. Smoke and dust rise in clouds. Countless pairs of crimson beast eyes ignite throughout the forest, all surging toward the outer combat trial zone. A beast tide. A catastrophic man-made beast tide far beyond anything this trial was designed to handle. With your ability, you could disappear right now, hide, and no beast would easily find you. But if the beast tide breaks through the outer camp and kills hundreds of students, the national ability exam, watched by the entire country, will likely be postponed or cancelled entirely. And if that happens, everything you planned, crushing Zane in front of everyone, taking first place, claiming the Tier 3 energy core, will be destroyed by the Zhao family after all. So there is no version of this where you walk away. No one gets to block your path, so you don't retreat. You charge straight toward the beast tide head-on, and at that very same moment, in the outer sea zone of Wild Zone 7, Nova is holding the line with a dozen students. She raises ice wall after ice wall, barely blocking the first wave of horned wolves and ironhide boars. But the walls are already laced with cracks. The beasts outside slam and tear like something has driven them mad. Every student behind the wall has gone pale. They're clearly almost at their limit. Someone is crying, screaming, "What do we do?" Someone else panics and brings up Zane. Didn't he always call himself the strongest? Where is he now? Then a girl shouts through tears, "Forget him." When the horned wolves lunged, he shoved Li Ming in front of him. Then he ran. Those words snuff out the last flicker of hope in everyone. Zane, the one who swaggered around every day, the rich boy who fawned over Nova. When it was truly life or death, his first instinct was to spend a classmate's life to buy himself a head start. Nova is both horrified and furious, but she doesn't have a single second to spare on him, because the next wave is already here. The ice walls are seconds from total collapse. She grits her teeth and forces her ability past its limit. Both palms hit the ground. She releases her ultimate area ability, Glacial Age. In an instant, a torrential ice blue freeze rolls outward. The entire area nearly 100 meters ahead is instantly blanketed in frost. Over a dozen charging Tier -1 beasts freeze solid into ice sculptures. She forces the situation to a halt, but an ability of this magnitude costs her everything. The moment it lands, she spits up blood. She drops to one knee, face terrifyingly pale. Her ability is nearly depleted, and it's precisely in this moment of total exhaustion that, boom, the ground ahead explodes. Dirt and shattered rock blast into the air. A creature over 15 meters long, covered head to tail in thick black armor, resembling a prehistoric giant crocodile but crowned with a vicious single horn, tears up through the earth. A Tier -3 commander-class beast. The Iron Scale Dragon. The moment it appears, every student gives up hope, because this creature has no business being here, and certainly not something a group of students already pushed to their limit by Tier -1 beasts can handle. Nova knows it too. Her ability is gone. Her body is so weak she can't even lift a finger. All she can do is watch as the Iron Scale Dragon lowers its massive head, opens its fang-lined jaws, and drives them down toward her. The stench of blood and beast slams into her face. Death is inches away. She closes her eyes in despair. And then, a black streak tears through the darkened sky like a meteor, dropping from the treetops dozens of meters above in a way that defies the laws of physics. A thunderous impact shakes the earth again. The black figure lands like a meteorite half a meter in front of Nova. A violent shockwave of air and shattered earth explodes outward. Even the Iron Scale Dragon's massive head is thrown back by the force. Nova's eyes snap open. She sees it. A back. Not broad, not towering, but the kind of back that looks like it could hold up the entire sky. He stands there quietly, wearing a faded backpack. Beneath his feet is a crater half a meter deep. At his side, the Iron Scale Dragon's fang-filled jaws, inches away. Ash. Time feels like it has been pressed on pause. The wind lifts your hair. In your hand is the alloy combat blade taken from Hyena's gear. That figure is not tall, but it stands like a mountain. It stands hard between Nova and the Tier -3 beast, blocking every gust of blood-soaked wind from reaching her. Nova freezes. Then her face changes completely. She cries out, "Ash, are you insane? Run!" That's a Tier -3 beast. Armor-piercing rounds can't even dent its defense. You'll die, but you don't even turn your head. The Iron Scale Dragon is fully enraged. It lets out a roar that sends the surrounding students collapsing. Then its bone-spiked tail sweeps like a steel whip, shattering every tree and boulder in its path. To take it head-on is certain death, but to retreat means everyone behind you dies too. In the span of a lightning flash, your mind completes the calculation. 1 cubic meter of void storage cannot fit this creature's entire head. Standard spatial cutting is useless against it. To kill it, you have to go for the weakest point. Strike at the core. So, in the instant before that steel whip tail connects, your body folds backward at an impossible angle, dodging the strike with barely a breath to spare. Then instead of retreating, you use the position to push off with both legs, and launch yourself at the Iron Scale Dragon like a cannonball fired in reverse. Nova watches, face white as chalk. To her, this isn't a battle charge. It's suicide. Sure enough, the iron-scaled dragon sees the miss and lifts a claw the size of a small truck to crush you from above. But just as the shadow fully swallows you, your charging body drops to the ground. You slide through the gap between the falling claw in a full extension dive and land directly beneath its underbelly. Boom! The claw hits the ground and craters it. Nova watches through her fingers, completely stunned. She knows the underbelly is the iron-scaled dragon's relatively weakest point, but only relatively. The scales there are still absurdly thick. No ordinary attack can penetrate them, but you were never planning to break through the belly. The space is tight. Foul, sticky fluid and dirt drip down constantly. You steady yourself, toss aside the alloy blade, useless now, then raise your head. Your focus locks onto the violently pulsing heart inside its chest. The next second, you slowly raise both hands and press them hard against the cold, rigid scales. Not a slash, not a charge up, a touch that is almost eerily gentle. In complete silence, a spatial ripple passes through the scales and opens directly inside the iron-scaled dragon's chest cavity. In this moment, your eyes are cold as a verdict. Collapse. The command drops. 1 cubic meter of absolute void space wraps precisely around a heart the size of a car, then snaps shut. A deep, muffled severing sound comes from inside its body. The iron-scaled dragon's earth-shaking roar cuts off instantly. Its massive body locks up, the rage and madness drain from its crimson pupils. What remains is a blank primal terror. Its exterior is completely unharmed, but it can feel it. The source of all its power has simply vanished, and you've already used that frozen moment to slide out from beneath it. You don't even look back. 2 seconds later, boom, the mountain of steel and scale completely loses all support and crashes to the ground with a force that shakes the earth. Through the rising dust and smoke, Nova stares blankly at the creature. No wound anywhere on its exterior, yet completely lifeless. She feels like her soul has been hollowed out. Her ability couldn't even buy a moment's delay. But the one everyone mocked as an E rank, nobody just killed it with a single touch. This isn't a gap in power. This is something she fundamentally cannot understand. And you've already walked to the beast's side. A single thought, and a heart the size of a tire, sliced clean at the top with a mirror-smooth cut, drops with a thud into the mud. You reach in expressionlessly, and pull out a fist-sized crystal, solid black, with something like flowing lava churning inside its diamond shape. A Tier 3 beast crystal core. Nova finally manages to pull herself together. Her voice comes out dry. Ash, what in the world have you been through? But you only give her a cold glance and say, move. That shuts down every question she had. Then you grab the iron-scaled dragon's jagged horn, take a deep breath, and haul the creature dozens of tons of dead weight off the ground, carrying it one step at a time toward the combat trial camp. That figure, not tall, not broad, dragging a mountain of a beast, through the dark forest and the roar of the beast tide, looks like a scene from a myth. Nova watches in a daze, then thinks of Zane abandoning his classmates to save himself, and the disgust and contempt inside her nearly hits its peak. At the same time, your back burns itself into her memory like a brand. And at the same time, the temporary camp in Wild Zone 7 has descended into chaos. The outer defense line is on the verge of collapse. Soldiers desperately try to organize a student retreat. Inside the command center, the colonel stares at the massive red signals closing in on the radar. His face is iron. He's in the middle of tearing into the intelligence unit when Zane comes crawling and stumbling through the entrance and collapses on the ground, sobbing and shouting, "Colonel, I know how the beast tide started. It was Ash. That E-rank, nobody did this." The colonel's brow furrows. He tells him to explain. Zane immediately starts rewriting the truth. He says you somehow got your hands on high-concentration beast lore and scattered it everywhere, openly threatening to take everyone down with you. In other words, he's trying to use the assumption that you're already dead in the beast tide to pin every crime on you. The colonel's expression darkens with every word. Zane's heart lifts. He's about to add more detail when a set of footsteps heavy enough to shake the ground rolls in from the camp entrance. Thud, thud, thud. Getting closer. Like each step is landing on everyone's chest. The mist tears apart. Under the gaze of every stunned, horrified pair of eyes in the camp, you walk in, one step at a time, dragging the mountain-sized Tier -3 iron-scale dragon's body with one hand, covered in mud, face cold and blank, like something that just walked out of the underworld. You ignore every single pair of eyes. You walk straight up to Zane and drop the tactical pack from Hyena's squad, along with the communicator you crushed into scrap, hard at his feet. "The Zhao family owes me an answer. Are these yours?" The camp goes silent like all sound has been sucked out of the air. The anguish on Zane's face freezes instantly. What replaces it is absolute terror. He can't process the fact that you're alive, and so he blurts out, "How are you not dead?" The moment it leaves his mouth, he realizes what he's just done. You don't bother with him. You kick the pack open. Burned out beast lore stubs, Hyena's ID tag, and the faintly glowing communicator all spill out. Then you hit play. Zeus's dark, urgent voice blares through the amp and fills the entire camp. Throw it on him, and every Tier -2 beast within 10 miles will converge on his location. Nothing left of him. The military will call it an accident. The evidence is ironclad. The crowd erupts. It really was the Zhao family. Hired killers tried to get us all killed. "Zane, you piece of trash." The colonel's expression hits rock bottom. But Zane still won't give up. He shrieks from the ground. "How could an E-ranker take out Hyena's squad? How could you drag back a Tier -3 beast? This is all a setup." At that, you finally let out a thin, cold smile. E-rank? You raise your wrist and hold up a dirt-smeared student monitoring bracelet. Your argument is that an E-ranker just happened to stumble onto evidence of your crimes? The next second, you force unlock the bracelet's access and a recording projects onto the command center's main screen. In the footage, a small wolf lunges, Zane doesn't save anyone. He shoves the student beside him, Li Ming, directly into the wolf's path. Then he runs without looking back. The final frame freezes on his face, twisted, almost excited. If the audio recording made people furious, this footage lights something far beyond anger. Zane, give me back my friend's life. Trash like you doesn't deserve to breathe. And right at that moment Nova arrives, supported by several classmates, face still pale but gritting her teeth and testifying in front of everyone. I can confirm Zane abandoned his classmates and fled alone, and Ash is the one who saved all of us. With an S-rank talent's public testimony on record, Zane's last shred of resistance is ground to dust. The colonel takes a deep breath, turns, and orders the enforcement squad to take Zane into custody and transfer him to military tribunal for the highest level of prosecution. Zane completely falls apart. He screams and wails, and just as the enforcement squad reaches for him, a roar detonates like thunder. Who dares touch my son? A Tier 5 pressure wave so terrifying it freezes the air itself rolls across the entire camp. Nearly every student drops to their knees. The weaker ones pass out entirely. Then a figure in expensive clothing appears instantly and shields Zane. Zeus, the head of the Zhao family, doesn't even look at the evidence on the ground. His eyes lock onto you. The killing intent in them surges. You dare slander my son? You dare destroy the name of the Zhao family? No one can save you today. Before the words are even finished, a massive energy claw slams down toward the top of your skull. Tier 5, you stand in place. Not a trace of fear in your eyes, only the desire for destruction that comes from being pushed completely past the edge of patience. The space in front of your forehead has already begun to quietly warp. You're prepared to take serious damage if it means taking one of Zeus's arms first. But at this razor's edge of a moment, a shout even more commanding than Zeus's explodes from right in front of you. Stand down! Somehow the colonel is already standing between you and Zeus. No flashy technique, just a single clean punch. Zeus's energy claw shatters. The force drives straight into Zeus's chest. Zeus is sent flying, coughing up blood, crashing through several military tents before he finally stops. The colonel slowly pulls back his fist. His eyes are frightening in their coldness. In my military camp, you openly assault a military witness and the top scorer of this trial. Zeus, are you trying to bury the entire Zhao family? That one sentence seals the fate of father and son both. Soon Zeus and Zane are dragged away like burst sacks, and the carefully engineered conspiracy of the Zhao family collapses completely under the weight of public fury. The camp falls silent. Every student who looks at you has shifted from shock to awe, even fear. When the colonel turns to face you, the anger in his eyes is gone. What replaces it is undisguised admiration and fire. Ash, you slew the Tier -3 Iron Scale Dragon, exposed the criminals, saved your classmates, distinguished service across the board. By unanimous decision of the command, you are the first place finisher of this combat trial. He takes a reinforced metal case from his aide and holds it out to you. This is your reward, the Iron Scale Dragon's energy core. Then he extends an offer that would drive countless people wild. Additionally, on behalf of the Eastern Military District, I formally invite you. Would you be interested in bypassing all standard procedures and joining the Azure Dragon Special Forces directly? You take the case. You feel the surging energy inside it. The weight on your chest eases just slightly, but then you look up and slowly shake your head. Before I join anything, I need to use this to save my sister's life. You sprint back to Jiangcheng City First Hospital, but fate seems determined to mock you. When you push open the ICU door, the image of Ava sleeping quietly is not what greets you. Instead, alarms. Ear-splitting. The room is cold as a freezer. On the bed, Ava's entire body is coated in a visible layer of frost. Even the metal bed rails and blanket edges have grown jagged ice crystals. Her lips are blue-purple. Her chest barely rises. Every monitor reading is flashing red. Your mind goes blank with a single sharp ring. You rush to the attending doctor, voice raw. What happened? She was stable when I left. The doctor speaks so fast he's nearly breathless. Mutation. Your sister's Abyss Frost Syndrome has suddenly mutated into a malignant form. The cold energy is behaving like it has its own will. It's rejecting and consuming every form of external energy we try to introduce. The stabilizing energy solution we just administered. All of it froze solid. Then he looks at the metal case in your hand. His eyes hold both desperate hope and dread. The Tier 3 Dragon Core's energy is far too violent. Using it now won't save her, it'll make things worse. It will detonate the cold energy inside her and turn her into ice on the spot. Those words shatter the hope you fought your way here to hold. You stand frozen, slowly looking toward the small girl on the bed, frost even on her eyelashes, and every emotion drains from your face. What remains is the calm that comes after total devastation. Then what do we do? The doctor swallows hard and forces out the only answer. Within 3 days, you must find a Tier 4 Frost Soul Crystal Core, one whose attributes perfectly match and whose energy is absolutely pure. Only that can soothe the mutated cold energy inside her. Not fight it. That's the only chance. 3 days. A Tier 4 Frost Soul Crystal Core. That's nearly impossible. Tier 4 crystal cores are classified as strategic assets, and a Frost Soul Core is among the rarest of the rare even within Tier 4. The open market almost certainly won't have one. Even if the military stockpile does, it's not something you can access right now. So you stop asking pointless questions. You walk out of the room in silence, stop at the end of the corridor, and pull out the old black phone. You send an encrypted message, seeking Tier 4 Frost Soul Crystal Core, 3-day limit, no price ceiling. The reply comes back almost instantly. Open market, none. Military stockpile 3 available. Access level insufficient. Only lead tonight at Jiangcheng's underground arena, the Slaughter Court, the 100 kill challenge. Grand prize for the final winner. The Slaughter Court is the most brutal, most lawless place in Jiangcheng's underground world. The 100-kill challenge means fighting 100 combatants in a single night. All selected from prisons, battlefields, and wasteland ruins. No stopping until someone is dead. No breaks. In 100 years, only 3 people have ever succeeded. The failure rate is essentially 100%. But you look once at the ICU door with its blinking red light, and every trace of hesitation disappears from your eyes. If there's no other choice, then you'll cut one open. Midnight. An abandoned steel foundry in the old industrial district has been converted into a massive underground arena. The air is thick with sweat, cheap alcohol, and something worse. The music is deafening. Thousands of spectators howl like something has broken inside them. When you walk into the backstage registration area wearing that pale, frozen smiley face mask, the tattooed registrar takes one look at you and laughs you off. Get out of here. This is the Slaughter Court, not a playground for kids. You don't bother arguing. You pick up the blood contract, already stained, and bite down hard on your own thumb. Blood wells up. You press the warm, bloody thumbprint down hard onto the signature line without expression. Then you look up through the mask and say, "Enough. Get me 100 fighters, all at once or one by one. Your call." That man has worked the Slaughter Court for over a decade. He's seen outlaws. He's seen madmen. But your look sends a chill straight down his back. He doesn't say another word. He just hands you a black number tag. 9527. You turn and walk toward the iron door that leads to hell. First opponent, Black Ape. Peak Tier 2 Beast Transformation ability user. Over 2.5 meters tall. Covered in black fur. Strength off the charts. Known for savagery. The crowd is jeering and laughing. Sure, someone as slight as you has nothing to offer. Then the referee calls, "Start." Black Ape roars and lunges. Its massive paw nearly caves your skull in on the spot. But the moment before it connects, you simply tilt your body and let that massive form slip past you. A soft sound. Black Ape crashes into the cage wall, and then, under thousands of watching eyes, its head, still wearing a savage grin, slides cleanly off its neck. Total silence first, then it explodes. The name 9527 echoes through the Slaughter Court for the first time. But then, match 2, match 5, match 10, match 37. Everyone slowly realizes they're not watching a fight, they're watching a harvest. A speed-type ability user becomes a blur of motion, and the moment they get close, their body splits in two. A flame controller blankets the air in fire. You walk through it like parting a curtain. You reach him. The next second, his head rolls across the floor. After that, whether they charge hard, ambush, or surround you from range, the result is always the same. One strike. Dead. No extra moves. No dramatic clash. Not even anything that could really be called a fight. You simply get close, and they fall. So the cheers in the crowd grow quieter and quieter, replaced by suffocated silence and the sound of breath being pulled in sharply, because everyone can see it now. You're not here for the 100-kill challenge. You're here to clear the floor. You're harvesting. When the 99th match ends, the referee announces in a trembling voice, "Winner, 9527. You stand in the center of the fallen. The ground beneath you is entirely red. The pale smiley face mask has long since been stained deep red. And you stand there, breathing rate not even slightly off. The entire Slaughter Court is dead silent." Meanwhile, up in the top-level private suite, the Slaughter Court's owner, Boss Jin, wears a dangerously dark expression. The Tier 4 Frost Soul Crystal Core was placed here by a powerful figure from the provincial capital as a showpiece, never meant to actually be won, but now you're one step away from taking it. Boss Jin lets out a cold laugh and hits the red button on the wall. Activate the cleaner protocol. Send in Titan. With a deep rumble, inside the cage, the massive door forged from special alloy, the one leading to the final challenge, slowly rises. A presence 100 times more terrifying than every previous opponent combined floods out from the darkness like a physical wave. A figure nearly 3 meters tall, every muscle built like poured iron, skin carrying a bronze metallic sheen, walks out step by step. Every step sends a tremor through the entire cage. The silent crowd erupts into screams of terror. It's Titan, the unbreakable Titan. How is he out? Wasn't he locked in the deepest level of the Black Prison? That masked guy is finished. Titan, he's the monster who tore apart a Tier -4 beast with his bare hands. Titan walks to the center of the arena. He ignores the bodies covering the floor. Those bronze bell eyes lock onto you. He splits his mouth open, revealing a row of stark white teeth. His voice grates like metal dragging across metal. Your killing game ends here. Now it's my turn. Titan's voice is like rusted iron plates grinding together, calm, but more unsettling than a roar. The crowd goes still for a moment, then breaks into even louder screaming. Everyone recognizes this nearly 3-meter figure, the bronze-sheened monster, the cleaner, Titan. He is the Slaughter Court's true last resort, the final weapon. Rumor has it his Tier 4 absolute hardening makes his body harder than top-grade alloy armor. Ordinary cutting-type abilities are completely useless against him, but you don't waste a single word. The next second your figure vanishes from where you stood and reappears like a ghost pressed to Titan's left side. The military blade in your hand traces a dark arc, driving straight for his neck. This cut even carries a thread of basic spatial compression force, something that should slice cleanly through not just flesh, but tank plating. And yet, a piercing metallic shriek explodes out, sparks fly. The blade, the one that cut through iron like mud, shatters inch by inch the moment it touches his skin. As for Titan's neck, it leaves nothing but a faint white mark that fades almost instantly. Titan finally laughs. The laugh shakes the entire cage. "I told you, your tricks don't work on me." Before the words even finish, he throws a backhand punch. No flashy energy, No complex technique, just pure condensed force, too fast. You can see the path of it, your body just can't fully get out of the way. You cross both arms over your chest in the last instant. The impact hits like a full-speed maglev train slamming straight into you. You're sent flying and crash into the alloy cage wall. The wall buckles outward into a human-shaped crater. Then blood pours out from under the edge of the mask, staining the front of your combat suit red. The arena goes instantly silent. Then it erupts into wilder cheers than ever. The people who were too terrified by your 99 kills to make a sound now scream like they finally found release, waiting to watch you get crushed. In the private suite, Boss Jin picks his glass back up, expression contemptuous and relaxed. In his eyes, you were always just someone showing off with cheap tricks. Titan is what real power looks like. But you, leaning against the cage wall, slowly wipe the blood from the corner of your mouth, and your eyes are still cold. Still completely still. You've already reached the conclusion. Standard spatial severance is not absolutely effective against every target. When a target's material density and energy structure exceed a certain threshold, the shearing force generated by the closure is drastically weakened. In other words, cutting from the outside. His defense cannot be broken in any reasonable amount of time. But you don't have time to waste. Ava is still in the hospital waiting for you. The Tier 4 Frost Soul Crystal Core is right there. If the outside won't work, then go from the inside. You straighten up. Titan sees it. A flicker of amusement enters his eyes. Still moving? Guess I held back too much. You still don't answer. You just charge at him again. To everyone watching, this looks like a death wish. Titan thinks so too, so this time he doesn't even bother throwing a punch. He opens both arms with a savage grin, intending to just crush you to death. 10 meters. 5, 3. Just as the collision is about to happen, your body drops suddenly, slipping beneath the mountain of his chest. Your whole figure moves like a slick shadow, sliding past his side in a flash. At the same time, your right hand opens and presses gently against his temple. The touch is almost tender, like something between lovers. The savage grin hasn't even had time to fade from Titan's face when your eyes have already gone to absolute cold and madness. Space. Open. This time, not a cut from the outside. Not a closure to take his head. You force open a 1 centimeter cube of void space directly inside his impenetrable skull, right in the core of his brain, buried under layers of dense bone. It exists for a single instant, then it closes. In a fraction of a billionth of a second, the most fundamental law of the universe completes one act of creation and one of annihilation. Titan locks up, his eyes, his expression, his movement, all frozen in this moment. Then a thin thread of red slowly seeps from his left ear, then the right, nostrils, eye corners, the corner of his mouth. 7 red trails run slowly down that bronze face, tracing a pattern of absolute finality. The next second, thud, the mountain of a body drops straight down and slams into the arena floor. The Tier 4 body enhancement ability user, Titan the Cleaner, dies on the spot. The entire slaughter court is instantly muted. The music stops, the screaming stops, every expression freezes in place. Thousands of eyes lock onto the body leaking red from 7 places, then onto you, standing beside it. No wound on him, no clash, just a touch, and he fell. After a brief dead silence, a rich merchant in the front row drops his glass. It shatters, like someone flipped a switch. The next second, the entire arena explodes. Countless spectators scream and sob and claw toward the exits, desperate to escape what has become a true hell, but you ignore all of it. You raise your head. Through layer after layer of the crowd, you look up toward the top floor private suite. Your voice is slightly rough from the injury, but still cold and clear. 100 matches done. Tier 4 Frost Soul Crystal Core, handed over. The words land. Even the panicking crowd pauses for a beat. That's right, you won the 100 kill challenge, it's finished. By the rules, the prize belongs to you. And yet, Boss Jin clearly never intended to give it. He steps up to the mic, his cold laugh carries through the speakers across the whole arena. 9527, you did surprise me. But did you really think your little trick would fool everyone? Titan's body is harder than worship armor, and he dropped without a sound. Not a single real wound. That reeks of a curse kill technique or a banned neurotoxin. You cheated. Under Slaughter Court rules, if a challenger uses forbidden methods, results are voided, and prizes are forfeited. The moment those words land, the arena erupts again. Everyone understands immediately. What he's after tonight isn't the crystal core, it's your technique. The one that ignores all defense and kills in a single move. He wants to swallow you and the prize together. Then he puts on a show of generosity. However, I can offer you a way out. Hand over your technique, I'll let you live. I'll even let you work under me. You stand in place and slowly look up. In this moment, the last trace of patience you had for their rules shatters completely. You played by their game. You fought through 100 kills with your life and your blood. And now the house says you won, but won't honor it. Then there's nothing left to say. You let out a quiet laugh. But Boss Jin is clearly infuriated by even that sound. He gives the order directly. Take him, dead or alive. I want his technique. The next instant, all 8 alloy gates around the cage rise simultaneously. Pairs of fully armed soldiers, wearing black exoskeleton armor, rifles in hand, pour out of the darkness like a tide. Every black gun barrel, every blue-lit targeting sight locks onto you at the same instant. A full 100, and every single one a seasoned veteran. The audience collapses entirely. The surviving spectators pound on the doors like madmen. Everyone knows, once the slaughter court, the cleaner, and the private army are all deployed, this place becomes a genuine slaughterhouse. And you stand in the center of the encirclement. You slowly drop the shattered remains of the blade. If they won't follow rules, then your rules are the rules. Open fire. At the captain's command, over 100 rifles fire simultaneously. A dense storm of hardened rounds tears through the air, weaving a death net from every direction with no blind spots. Your figure is swallowed entirely. Gunsmoke, fire, and shrieking metal erupt all at once. But when the gunfire stops, you are still standing exactly where you were, completely unharmed. Within 1 meter of your body, the space is warped into something resembling a hall of mirrors. Strange and distorted, over 1,000 hardened rounds, each capable of punching through a tank, have all been swallowed into the warped zone. They hang suspended in the air like insects trapped in amber, their kinetic energy stripped away and locked, and as they press and grind against each other in that confined space, the rounds begin to glow red, humming without stop. Every soldier freezes. They've seen bulletproof shields, energy barriers, ability users who take bullets with their body, but no one has ever made bullets stop in midair. This isn't defense. This is imprisonment. You raise your hand, you close your fist gently toward the space holding that suspended storm of death. Now it's my turn. The next second you spin, your arm sweeps out. The space holding over 1,000 glowing rounds is hurled directly into the densest formation of soldiers on the left. At the same moment, the space snaps back to normal. Every unit of stolen kinetic energy is returned at once. No gunshots, just a wall of air-tearing shrieks as those rounds fly back faster than they came. They form a fan-shaped curtain of red. The front rows of soldiers don't even get the chance to react. Exoskeleton armor, bone, flesh, all of it meaningless in this instant. A burst of red mist explodes and paints the entire arena crimson. The survivors lose their minds on the spot. Some fall back, some scream, some hurl high-explosive grenades and fire bottles, trying to drown you in sheer firepower. But you don't even look. Explosions, flames, shockwaves, flying shrapnel, none of it touches you. All of it is swallowed once again by the warped space. The 1 cubic meter space at this moment is like a small star on the verge of going critical, packed full of raw, violent, explosive energy. Then you walk into it. You stroll through the wall of fire like you're taking a walk through a park. You close in on the completely shattered soldier formation. Your eyes lock onto the captain trying to flee. Then you release your hold on the space. Boom. The maximally compressed explosive energy releases in an instant. Centered on you, it sweeps outward in a radius of over 10 meters. Soldiers caught directly in front are vaporized along with their armor on the spot. Those on the outer edge are first ignited by the heat, then torn apart by the mass of high-speed shrapnel. Their screams are shredded before they can even fully form. This is no longer a fight. This is a slaughter. Your space has become the most terrifying mobile arsenal imaginable. The stronger the enemy's firepower, the more lethal the attack you return. The so-called advantage of numbers. Firepower suppression. In front of the true law of space, these are nothing but a joke. Soon the entire arena holds nothing but the sound of suffering and burning. The captain who barely survived the first wave drags half a charred body up toward the top floor suite on hands and feet, crying out for help. Inside the suite, Boss Jin has collapsed into the sofa, staring at the hell on the security monitors. His face holds nothing but naked fear. He used to think you just learned some hidden killing move, but now he finally understands. What he's provoked is not a madman with a secret technique. It's an absolute monster, so he turns and runs. But he barely takes 2 steps before a crash explodes behind him. The captain, like a burst sack, is kicked through the wall of the suite and rolls to a stop at his feet. The captain lets out 2 wet gurgles from his throat. He raises a hand and points toward the door. Then his head drops to one side. Gone. Boss Jin turns rigidly. Through the smoke and dust at the door, you walk slowly in, covered in filth. The pale, smiley face mask long since stained deep red. The eyes beneath it are terrifyingly calm. You don't waste words. You walk to the specially reinforced glass. The kind they say even armor-piercing rounds can't crack. And slowly raise your right hand. 5 fingers pressed gently against it. The next second, radiating outward from your palm, the entire glass surface begins to spread with spiderweb black fractures. Not ordinary shattering. Space itself is being torn. Boss Jin finally breaks completely, screaming for you to stop. He throws out the glass's military-grade origins. Then money, family connections, promises of reward, begging for his life. But none of it means anything to you. You close your fist, a crack, a deep hum, then a strange muffled sound, and you tear out the entire reinforced glass panel, along with half a meter of alloy wall behind it. What remains in the wall is a circular hole 3 meters across. The torn section crashes to the ground. The impact shakes the entire suite. Boss Jin's last sense of safety is crushed along with it. He drops to his knees and kowtows frantically, face a mess of tears and snot. Don't hurt me. I'll give it to you. Everything. All of it. The Tier 4 Frost Soul crystal core is in the safe. You grab him by the hair and haul him up off the floor. You drag him like dead weight to the hidden compartment. After iris and fingerprint verification, the safe slowly opens. A bone-deep chill instantly floods the room. Boss Jin's shaking hands bring out a blue metal case. Both hands raised above his head. You take the case. Flip it open with one hand. Inside, a fist-sized crystal core, completely translucent, with what looks like a churning ice blue storm rotating inside it. Its purity is so absolute that the spatial force inside you trembles slightly in response. It's real. You immediately store it in your void storage. Boss Jin, seeing the item handed over, tries to keep begging for his life. He even drops the name of the Wang family from the provincial capital, trying to use connections to buy his survival. But before the words are finished, an invisible edge flashes by. His voice cuts off, his head and body separate in an instant. It rolls and hits the floor. The blood inside erupts and splashes across half your body. You kick the still twitching remains aside, and speak in a tone so flat, it carries no temperature at all. I don't care who you are. I eliminate threats at the root. Leave it standing, and it will eventually come back to bite you. You learned that in the dark alleys of the slums long ago. With the item secured, you don't leave right away. You slice open the main gas line in the corner of the wall. High-pressure gas hisses out and fills the suite within seconds. Then you flick a lighter. You toss the small flame into that luxurious, corrupt tomb. Then you turn. You walk out without looking back. Seconds later, a world-shaking explosion detonates from the top floor. Flames and shockwaves sweep through the entire underground slaughter court like an enraged dragon. Steel twists. Walls collapse. The place that consumed countless lives finally meets the end it deserves, and you walk toward the stairs leading to the surface, the fire and heat pressing at your back with every step. When you push open the heavy iron door, blinding morning light falls across your face. You reach up and slowly pull off the deep red-stained smiley face mask, revealing a slightly pale but sharp and cold young face. The Frost Soul Crystal Core is yours. Next, save Ava. As for everything else, those debts will be settled another day. In the early hours, you practically burst through the hospital's silence. The on-duty doctor is half asleep when you slam the cold blue case containing the Tier -4 Frost Soul Crystal Core down onto his desk. He snaps fully awake. Even his voice shifts in pitch. A Tier 4 Frost Soul Crystal Core. Within moments, the entire intensive care ward is blazing with light. Top physicians, sterile labs, dilution procedures, energy guidance. Every procedure that would normally be impossible to rush at this hour is set into motion by the sheer weight of what you've brought. You stand outside the sterile observation room. Through the glass, you watch Ava on the bed without blinking. Diluted ice blue energy is fed into her body through precision instruments little by little. At first, the life readings on the monitors are still wildly unstable. You can almost hear your own heartbeat pounding. But then, after a moment, the change comes. The deadly frost on her face slowly begins to fade. The blue-purple in her lips comes back to color. Little by little, the heartbeat that was barely a whisper starts to normalize. The wall of blaring alarms in the room goes out one by one. Until the first light of morning falls through the corridor, the attending doctor finally pulls off his mask, exhausted, but unable to hide the excitement beneath it. We did it. Her body functions have stabilized. All she needs now is rest and recovery. When you hear those words, the tension wound through you for half a month finally releases completely. An avalanche of exhaustion buries you in an instant. You sit at the side of the bed and look at Ava. Her sleeping face finally touched with a hint of color again. Your eyelids can't hold anymore. You fall into a deep, heavy sleep. It's the most peaceful sleep you've had in a very long time. But you don't know. After the massive Tier 4 frost energy stabilizes Ava's life, a tiny fraction of it remains behind inside her body. That thread of energy, pure beyond measure, flows silently into your body through some inexplicable bond between siblings. To the full Tier 4 crystal core, this residual trace is negligible. But to you, in this moment, it is enough to trigger a true transformation. At some unknown point later, you jolt awake. First, sharp, piercing pain like a steel needle stirring through your mind. Then it's completely swallowed by a sensation like the ascension of your very soul. You feel it clearly. The invisible barrier deep in your mind that has always capped your spatial ability is shattered by this incoming energy. Mental threshold broken. Spatial control surges. You look inward at your ability core immediately. Your breath catches for a moment. The space that was once just 1 cubic meter is being torn open as if by an invisible hand, expanding. The volume explodes. 2 cubic meters, 5, 10. In a matter of seconds, the space that used to be a small box has expanded into something the size of a warehouse. But that isn't even the most important part. At the moment the expansion completes, a brand new law imprint quietly burns itself into the core of your space. You shift your focus slightly and pull a glass of water from the bedside table into the space. Then you activate the new imprint. A deep hum. The water inside, which was still rippling, freezes solid in an instant. Even a water droplet that was midway through falling hangs suspended in the air. Time inside that space seems to have been pressed on pause. You understand immediately what this new ability means. Absolute stasis. Any non-living matter or energy form drawn into the space will have its state absolutely locked. If a living creature is forcibly pulled in, its biological activity inside the space approaches zero, the equivalent of being locked in a cage where time has stopped. And what does that mean? It means you can now store not just more bullets, fire, explosions, and shockwaves, but in the moment an enemy strikes, you can pull the attack, and even parts of their body, directly into the space. And even more terrifying, you can briefly pull a part of your own body into the space and release it from a completely different point, creating strikes that look almost like teleportation. This is no longer a change in degree, it's a change in kind. You close your fists, you feel the spatial force surging through you, stronger than anything you've known before. A cold light flickers faintly in your eyes. Right now, even a true Tier -5 ability user confronting you head-on is not something you need to fear. And then, at exactly this moment, the public television outside the ward carries an urgent news broadcast. Today, the National Ability User Higher Academy Joint Examination, watched by the entire nation, officially opens in the capital city, Qingcheng. Hundreds of S-rank and A-rank talents from the Federation's top families and military system have gathered in Qingcheng. They will compete for slots at the Federation's 3 most elite academies over the course of 1 month. On the screen, young, proud, brilliant faces flash past one after another. They wear elaborate combat uniforms. Behind them, the crests of powerful families. Camera flashes wash over them like a tide. They look like people who were born to stand above the clouds. You stand at the window, watching the screen in silence, your eyes cool, degree by degree. These are the people this world truly calls its chosen ones. Resources, bloodline, slots, status, all of it in their hands from the moment they were born. And you crawled out from ruins, dark alleys, and the edge of death, one step at a time. But that is precisely why you have to take it. You walk into the bathroom and wash away every trace of filth. You change into the black combat suit taken from the slaughter court. Then you sling the long, narrow blade taken from Boss Jin's safe across your back. Finally, you look back one last time at Ava sleeping on the bed. She's alive. Then it's your turn to settle accounts with this world. You push open the hospital door. The midday sun is blinding, but you just narrow your eyes and step out. Yangcheng, this place full of darkness and struggle, was only ever a beginner zone. The real hunting ground is Qingcheng. The game of making those untouchable geniuses feel despair has only just begun.